This shit
To the
sucks.
latest
All right, let's get to the fucking tariffs, dude.
on President-elect Trump. He is blasting Mexico and Canada over their handling of the border and promising to punish them with high tariffs on day one of his administration. He's also vowing to raise tariffs on China. Our senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang, is at Mar-a-Lago with the latest. Good morning, Selena.
Good morning, Michael. President-elect Trump is threatening.
Do you think your FBI agent is your fan? You would be shocked with the places in which there are HasanAbi heads. Every day, someone reaches out and tells me something that I truly find to be insane. Okay? It is some real, I'm not even kidding. This is some real Tyler Durden Fight Club shit. It is wild. I'm talking like Department of Homeland Security. How the did that happen? I'm talking, I mean, look at the, yeah, someone said, I know a Department of Homeland Security guy who loves you. Yeah. There are people in, there are obviously people that were prominently inside of the DNC that we found out. I was shocked by that. I think post DNC, I'm no longer shocked as much. But sometimes someone will tell me something and I'm like, that's insane. Like a person that I shit on quite frequently that, you know, I don't want to reveal anything, but there are a lot of people who I regularly shit on and their staffers or people that work under them are, you know, constantly watching me.
To impose tariffs on America's top 3 trading partners. This would massively disrupt businesses and supply chains. It could also dramatically increase the costs of everything from cars, clothes to oil.
Kamala is a HasanAbi head? No, but I mean, Kamala's campaign was, yeah. They were the ones who wanted me to go to the DNC against the DNC's wishes. Let me tell you, it wasn't Jamie Harrison's side of the DNC that wanted me there.
This morning, Donald Trump is warning America's neighbors, threatening to implement 25% of.
I got my whole team at NASA to love you. Get my brother a job, please. I want him to work there before they fucking wipe it out entirely. NASA doesn't pay much. Brother, what the do you mean? You think Marat gives a about the money? Are you kidding me? First of all, let me tell you something, okay? Aerospace engineers don't make as much as you think they would be making. I promise you. It is actually shocking how bad that shit is. And there are plenty of people who probably work in the defense sector and also is specifically as like aerospace and mechanical engineers in this chat that will tell you, yes, like shit that you would assume is like 300K. Like you'd probably be like, oh yeah, this is like a top of the line experienced engineer. They should be making like 300,000, you know? Like think about that. That is like one of the, like you have to get a higher degree. You have to, yeah, no, they get paid like, if they're lucky, they get paid like 100 grand mid-career. Yeah, their starting salaries, depending on where they are, they usually are relegated to, so they have to live in like some dog shit state in some dog shit fucking area because the states like have, you know, either favorable tax credits that they've given, favorable tax benefits they've given to the company, or they also have like no workers protection whatsoever, and it's very hard to unionize there. So they set up these like low cost facilities. Land is cheaper too. And then they're like, yeah, you're at a low cost facility. You're in a state that is like nobody wants to live in. So yeah, of course, we're going to pay you 60 grand. Shut the up as a starting salary. Yeah. See, I got 55K out of college in Arkansas with an engineering degree. Yeah. Engineers, 100K is a low salary. Are you out of your mind? Brother, for someone who's like, you know, half a decade into their career, almost a decade into their career, as a fucking rocket scientist, what are you talking about? Like, you know how people say, it's not, watch your manners? Shut the up. What do you mean, watch your manners? Oh, God damn. Where the do you think you're at? Anyway, you know how people say, it's not rocket science? The reason why people say that is because rocket science is hard. Okay? And the expectation from normal people is that, you know, when someone is doing rocket science, that they're probably going to be paid a lot more than the average person. Anyway.
Across the board tariffs on.
Let's get to tariffs, dude. I'm done talking about this shit.
To the latest on President-elect Trump. He is blasting Mexico and Canada over their handling of the border and promising to punish them with high tariffs on day one of his administration. He's also vowing to raise tariffs on China. Our senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang, is at Mar-a-Lago with the latest. Good morning, Selena.
Good morning, Michael. President-elect Trump is threatening to impose tariffs on America's top 3 trading partners. This would massively disrupt businesses and supply chains. It could also dramatically increase the costs of everything from cars, clothes to oil. This morning, Donald Trump is warning America's neighbors, threatening to implement 25% across-the-board tariffs on Mexico and Canada on day one if both countries, he says, don't crack down on their borders with the U.S. Trump cites a new caravan coming from Mexico with a group of hundreds of migrants, mostly from South and Central America, leaving southern Mexico last week. This Ecuadorian migrant says, "We want to be on the other side before the new president of the United States takes office," as he seems quite harsh on immigrants. The president-elect blames Mexico and Canada, saying his tariffs will remain in effect until such times as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. Mexico in particular is America's largest trading partner, with the U.S. buying near $500 billion of Mexican goods.
I love this story so much because it is Don, baby. It's called JD Don. Permanent first world genocide, okay? He's bringing it in. He's saying no more treats for you Amerifats. Every Ameroid, billions must be removed from the treacherous nature of treats. Okay, it's true. Is JD Pondon? Is JD Pondon? Okay, he's saying permanent first world genocide. He's saying it's over. It's done. No more f***ing treats, and I respect him for it. Okay, no more treats for you, Amerifat. The directorate is clear. The dictatorship of the proletariat will rise. No more treats. You like Cheez-Its? You're going to f***ing die, okay? No more Cheez-Its.
Goods like computers, cars, and electrical equipment. Tariffs could greatly impact U.S. industries, with some experts warning that Americans could face higher prices on gas, cars, and food, just as inflation has been.
He said it's done, okay? He said Americans are no longer going to get treats. I don't want them to get treats. And also on top of that, that the most important industry for Trump supporters is what? Drop shipping and Trump merchandise. He wants to gut this industry, okay? He wants to destroy these two key sectors. He despises his fan base, okay? He's saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a Trump store? It's over. I'm going to explode it." He said, "No more drop shipping and no more Trump merchandise."
Receding. Mexican authorities have broken up past caravans, with many more disbanding on their own. But Trump's incoming.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is the other thing I called. A lot of people were wondering, like, Hasan, why the f is Trump doing this trade tariff shit? And I told you it's going to be to win favors. That's it. It's that, and also to maybe in the future gut what remains of the income tax.
Border czar Tom Homan is now warning those migrants they will soon face harsher policies like family separation.
We got to enforce immigration law, or we're never going to fix the border, and it leads to a big national security vulnerability to this nation.
Later today, Homan will meet with Texas's Republican Governor Greg Abbott as he prepares for his sweeping crackdown. If enacted, these tariffs could violate the terms of the trade agreement between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
That he signed, by the way. He didn't have to too, and then now is saying fuck that.
Canada, which Trump signed into law during his first term. Trump also accused China of sending drugs pouring into our country, threatening an additional 10% tariff on all Chinese products, too. Tariffs are a favorite tool of Trump's.
To me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff, and it's my favorite word.
Trump's comments drawing responses from trade partners. The Chinese embassy saying economic and trade cooperation is essentially mutually beneficial. No one will win in a trade war or a tariff war. And Canada responding, saying they'll continue to discuss these issues with the incoming administration. Trump used tariffs as a negotiating tactic during his first term, so he's reusing that playbook again. But if he actually follows through on his campaign vow for higher tariffs, some economists estimate that could cost the average U.S. household more than $2,600 a year. George?
It could really drive inflation. Okay, Selena, thanks very much.
CNN's Rosa Flores is in Houston for us now. Rosa, how is Mexico responding to what we're hearing from the incoming Trump administration about how they plan to crack down on the border and carry out these mass deportations?
Well, very sternly. As a matter of fact, Mexico's president held a press conference this morning in response to President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose tariffs on Mexico, actually. But, Jim, as you know, all of these things are intermingled. Mexico's president was very firm. She called out President-elect Donald Trump, saying that both Mexico and the United States collaborate on a lot of different levels, including economically. And in other words, she said that she's ready to respond in kind. Let me read to you a portion of that letter that she sent to President-elect Donald Trump. She said, quote, "President Trump, neither threats nor tariffs will solve the issue of migration or drug consumption in the United States. Cooperation and shared understandings are required to face these important challenges. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response." I'm going to read that one more time because these are very important words from Mexico's president. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response, continuing like this until we put shared companies at risk. Now, the tone of this letter is very important because Mexico's president is not just talking about
my goat, Claudia. My goat, Claudia. Conservative Reddit claims this is a Trump negotiation tactic that is in the art of the deal book, and that he's hitting the with the highest possible deal for them to squirm and take action, and he will lower the tariffs once they do. Who's gonna take action? Tariffs are not a cost that the Chinese government has to pay. And there are certain raw materials, for example, that companies need. There is a lot of shit that is not either refined here, or there's a lot of shit that isn't just here. So, like, what are you going to do? You can't materialize things that don't exist within the boundaries of the United States of America. If the streamlined process for a lot of these raw materials are already within the supply chain coming from these countries that you're hitting them with tariffs, and we have no competitive manufacturing industry, then what are you supposed to do? Sometimes we do have like tomatoes, avocados, things like that, bananas, you know what I mean? With bananas, there's not really a substitute, but like tomatoes and avocados, you could make it here. Right? You do make it here, right? You grow them here, but not by the numbers necessary. So what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? We get it from Mexico. What are you supposed to do? Trump is doing degrowth, dude. That's what he's doing. Like, people are still, what's going to end up happening is people are still going to keep, importing this stuff, and then they're going to pay the tariffs, and then they're going to carry on the cost of the consumer. That's it. So the prices are going to go up because now the production costs have gone up. It's that simple. Like, people understand this when they talk about labor. Oh, when the wages go up, well, then the cost of the cost of production is going to go up. No company is going to eat the fucking profit margins. Okay, they're just not going to do that. This is a way for Donald Trump to. I don't think he's going to do like full blown tariffs. I think he's just going to tariff key sectors, and then and then use that as a mechanism to bring in more alliances from industry leaders to be like, I will tariff your business in the fucking ground unless you play ball. Companies need to be able to eat the upfront cost, though. Okay, if companies were going to eat the upfront cost, why don't they do that for fucking wage increases rather than fucking putting tariffs on random shit that then goes in the pockets of the American government so they can fucking not, fix the potholes and instead give it to Israel? The fuck? Force the companies to eat the profits, eat into their profit margins, and increase wages then.
Tariffs about the economic relationship with the border relationship with the United States, because Mexico has done a lot to help the Biden administration control the migration that is coming into the U.S. southern border, which begs the question about what is happening on the U.S. southern border, given that Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming U.S. border czar, Tom Homan, are on the border today. Here's the reality. The migrant apprehension numbers are extremely low. I talked to a law enforcement source, Jim, who says that on Sunday, migrant apprehensions were about 1,500. If you compare that to December of 2023, when 10,000 people were crossing the border per day, that just gives you a sense of the dramatic change. The reality is, and I've talked to both people on the ground, agents, and also advocates who work on the border, they say it is very quiet right now, very low, despite what you're hearing from Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming border czar, Tom Homan. Back to you.
All right, Rosa Flores, important context. Thank you very much.
What do Americans want in terms of what are their top priorities for Trump? This is according to CBS News YouGov poll that came out. Their highest priority is lower prices. 79% of Americans want lower prices. Just 26% say put tariffs on imports. So his strategy here can undercut what voters want him to do.
Sure, but this, threatening tariffs.
Dear President-elect Donald Trump, I'm writing to you regarding your statement on Monday, November 25th, concerning migration, fentanyl trafficking, and tariffs. You may not be aware that Mexico has developed a comprehensive policy to assist migrants from different parts of the world who would cross our territory en route to the southern border of the United States. As a result, and according to data from your country's Customs and Border Protection, encounters at the Mexico-United States borders have decreased 75% between December 2023 and November 2024. Moreover, half of those who arrive do so through a legally scheduled appointment under the United States CBP-1 program. For these reasons, migrant caravans no longer arrive at the border. Even so, it is clear that we must work together to create a new labor mobility model that is necessary for your country, as well as address the root causes that compel families to leave their homes out of necessity. If even a small percentage of what the United States allocates to war were instead dedicated to building peace and fostering development, it would address the underlying causes of human mobility. On another note, and for humanitarian reasons, Mexico has consistently expressed its willingness to help prevent the fentanyl epidemic in the United States from continuing. This is, after all, a public health consumption problem within your society. Yeah, she's saying, like, you Americans are fat fentanyl addicts, and it's not our fault. You have created the market for fentanyl. So far this year, Mexican armed forces and prosecutors have seized tons of various types of drugs, 10,000 firearms, and detained 15,000 individuals for violence related to drug trafficking. Furthermore, the Mexican Congress is in the process of approving a constitutional reform to classify the production, distribution, and commercialization of fentanyl and other synthetic drugs as a serious crime without bail. However, it is publicly known that the chemical precursors used to produce this and other synthetic drugs are illegally entering Canada, the United States, and Mexico from Asian countries. This underscores the urgent need for international collaboration. You must also be aware of the illegal trafficking of firearms into my country from the United States. Again, also correct. It's also, ironically enough, Americans that traffic the fentanyl and chemical compounds necessary for fentanyl through regular points of entry for an American market. And then Americans also trade guns for said fentanyl and chemical compounds. So the drug trade is directly vibrant as a consequence of ridiculous American policies. America is so gun crazy that they also have similar problems with Canada too. 70% of the illegal weapons seized from criminals in Mexico come from your country. We do not produce these weapons, nor do we consume synthetic drugs. Tragically, it is in our country that lives are lost to the violence resulting from meeting the drug demand in yours. Am I on CNN now? Are they finally covering my story on CNN? Let's watch. Not yet. It's out front. I just saw you on CNN. Oh, wait. I guess we missed it then. Because it's Aaron Burnett out front right now. I'm up next. Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this in time. President Trump, migration and drug consumption in the United States cannot be addressed through threats or tariffs. What is needed is cooperation and mutual understanding to tackle these significant challenges. For every tariff, there will be a response in kind until we put at risk our shared enterprises. Yes, shared. For instance, among Mexico's main exporters to the United States are General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford Motor Company, which arrived in Mexico 80 years ago. Why impose a tariff that would jeopardize them? Such a measure would be unacceptable and would lead to inflation and job losses in both the United States and Mexico. I am convinced that North America's economic strength lies in maintaining our trade partnership. This allows us to remain competitive amongst other economic blocs. For this reason, I believe that the dialogue is the best path to understanding, peace, and prosperity for our nations. I hope our teams can meet soon to continue building joint resolutions. So that part is also correct. And not only is that part correct, but also one of the funniest things that happened in this process was Canada also was like, what the hell's going on? Except their response was, why the fuck would you ever say we're Mexican? To compare the U.S. to Mexico is the most insulting thing I've ever heard from Canada's closest ally. Premier Ford tells reporters at Queen's Park. Says Canada will have to retaliate if tariffs go through. We have to tighten up our borders on both sides, Ford says, adding there are illegals entering Canada from the U.S. too. This is no way to treat your closest ally, but says there's a problem at the border that needs to be addressed. Ford says Ontario is preparing a strong commercial in the U.S. that promotes Canada's relationship with the U.S., calls tariffs a shock, but says problems need to be addressed. USA, we're going to crush your economy. Canada, did you just call me a Mexican? That's amazing.